many, many years ago, for the first time, before any type of transition aspects, I am a trans man. So when I came out, I was coming out as bisexual lesbian. I knew that I always had attraction to opposite. I never really had an attraction directly towards males from the get-go. So when I came out that time, I was young, I was very church oriented, very active, and it was a whirlwind. It was upside down. It went from one way to the complete opposite. But it was refreshing to finally be open and out there. I lived my life happily as a lesbian relationships, lifestyle, and it took me a few years. And then I met a trans man, and then I came out again. And I came out as a trans man. And I have to say that one was definitely probably the hardest. Coming out just to come out and to be out there and be open was one thing, but to make the defining factor to be exactly who I knew I needed to be and who I was becoming was great. It was refreshing. It was intoxicating in itself. It definitely took time and it took a lot of nerves and pressure. And there was a lot of back and forth where I'll go back. I'm going to put myself back. I take it back. But then again, I never did. I stayed true and I just kept pushing and kept myself going forward in all aspects and just used it as a pivotal point to make sure. I mean, I pretty much almost come out every day sometimes if I choose to not live that stealth lifestyle. I like the fact that I'm passable, but I don't like the fact that I do have to come out all the time. But in this day and age, I'll keep coming out. It's gotten easier every time. I can say that. But it's definitely something that's forever growing and forever not stop. It's not going to change, I don't think. I think there'll always be a time where I'll have to have that come out story or just to take it back and show people where I've come from is definitely where it starts. No, I definitely held off the longest probably because of the fact that my friends were very church oriented and that was my core was church trips and retreats and things like that. And I saw it as a friendship and a base. I didn't really look at it just as the religious side. But as soon as you throw something that's unreligious in there, like coming out and not being what they're expecting, it was the wrench in the engine and everything was topsy turvy. It was a question of what am I going to do or am I a threat or am I different? And for me, it was easier just to walk away and be done and give them the option to say, "Hey, I want to be in your life," but at the same time, it wouldn't make a difference, but I knew better. Leaving that group of aspects in that life was one thing. I've definitely grown since then, and I know that's just one group. Not all churches are that way, and there's definitely open churches that are definitely accepting, and there's a faith, but it definitely shook me being a kid growing up that way. Beyond shook, I would say. I mean, you completely learn one thing, and then you announce. They tell you to become who you are. Become your person, and in becoming the person I am, I lost a lot, but it made me better for who I was for sure. I think the difficult side was I was in a committed relationship when I did make my decision to go through with my transition, and being in that relationship was very testing. You want to be accepted still by your partner, and you still want to have that love and admiration, but you realize that it's defined by how you defined yourself. I'm still the same person, but this person can't see me as the way I want to be seen. So it was definitely hard, and it took a lot to come out in my relationship, and it ended up ending my relationship in the end. But in all, it was going to end. If it was meant to end, it was going to end. I was glad that I finally made the decision to come out, and I can't say that they weren't supportive when I did make my decision to do so, but it was still very trying to know that you're in a full lesbian relationship and that person does not identify outside of that. So I accepted that and I moved myself on. I took myself out of it and moved forward. And that's the biggest thing as what I see as a trans man is the dating aspects. You are who you are, but in the gender fluidity and the gender diversity of everything, where do you all lie? I think it's just in itself that everybody deserves to be loved. So I don't have a stereotypical type or what I'm looking for or put me in a box. I'm outside the box. So I just enjoy life. I don't quote unquote date on date sites and things like that. I'm just out to meet and greet, and hopefully one day it'll happen naturally versus forcefully. But in the sense of it, it was definitely in all intents and purposes, the best decision. I was definitely in my adulthood, and without that relationship, I don't know if I would have found what I did. I lived life. I don't regret anything I did, but I am definitely grateful for the steps that I took, and I'm grateful for the relationships I did experience because they still led me to who I am, for sure. Personally, as a trans man in the state of Virginia, of all places, very military, very highly in the news, especially as trans men are right now. It's definitely uneasy. I mean, in the sense of I have some passability to myself. I don't draw attention in the sense of questionability just walking down the street. So I'm blessed with that to have come so far. But at the same time, I still question myself going into a men's room. Who's going to be in this men's room? Is somebody going to question me? Is it safe? Is it not safe? And it's just not just restroom aspects, it's in general. You go into a crowded establishment and then you could be outed for being a trans man, and then who's to know in that establishment who's going to accept or not accept it sometimes. But in my all intensive purposes, I'd rather be visible than not be. I mean, I'm not here to trick anybody. I'm not here to play games or anything of that nature. I'm honest. And if somebody asks me, I'm going to tell them. But I'm not out there walking into a room announcing I'm here and I'm a trans man kind of aspects. But I'm definitely active and being visible to make sure that no matter whom, passable or not, it's seen that we're here and we're going to continue to be here even if we're in the passable community. I think it's part of society now to just really either walk by us or they're going to be confronted. And I think that's in general outside of just trans man issues, LGBT, the bias of, being judged just for being special or outside of what they consider normal is in itself its own defeat. But no matter what, the community is a great community and we all pull together all aspects. Yeah, there's inter community problems. I mean, we all don't understand each other as well. I mean, we're all defined different way. Everybody's coming out, transition process is all their own. So in that sense, nobody will be able to be on the same link as the other. So I think it just takes everybody actually opening up and really talking about it. Don't assume, actually talk to somebody. Get your answers. If without those answers, you're just going to have no's or you're never going to actually learn anything. So I think it takes just communicating like we do with outside, and we go look for, not look for, but we help allies and we give them information. We can do the same with our community. I want to help others learn about myself. I want them to understand why I am who I am or the process I took. Maybe their friend doesn't know that they're trans and they could help them. Some things like that are simple, but we don't really think about it because we stick to our own. So I think inter community needs to come together just as much as our outer community. So it's a struggle, but I think we're all together with it. For me, it was that, I mean, obviously, like I said, I was very happy in my life. I was open, I was out. I knew that there was something, but it took meeting a trans man, finding that missing piece, and actually getting that information before I knew of really what had always been. But it's kind of like the whole you don't know your job until you get it. You're perfect at it, but you don't know it until you finally get to that achievement. So meeting a trans man and having those discussions and just picking away at their brain, knowing the different things that I was thinking or the things that you think are sexist, but really you're just thinking. Not everybody is sexist or feminist or masculine or either way, but your mindset has always just been open. And like I say, the once you stretch your imagination to that point and you open that Pandora's box, you can't go back. Once you've experienced the life of what can be, it's kind of like the person that would do drag for the first time. They experience the glitz and the glam and the release, the freedom. And even though their makeup and they're done up and they're in their quote unquote outfit, their performance, they are themselves. They're finally being themselves. They're letting themselves be. That was my experience as a trans man. Finally being myself, being able to see what I saw on the inside on the outside. Felt like a performance, kind of thing that I had to put on, had to put that on the outside until it was visual, until there was the facial hair and the defining factors that help with hormones and things like that. I mean, there are a lot of trans men that don't do hormones, and I completely accept that. It's understandable. It's still all in you, and it doesn't define yourself by a medication or surgeries or so forth. But for me, the medicine aspects or the testosterone medication and so forth, all those things opened up everything. It helped me see things, it helped me understand, like, things that I questioned as a kid that I thought were issues, and I probably talked to a counselor or a friend or two about, like, "I don't get this," now makes sense to me because it was always my state of mind, but I just wasn't open up to it yet. So I definitely think the mindset of someone is definitely precious, and to learn early on and just have that exposure and just to be knowledgeable, to be able to talk to youth and so forth younger and to possibly get those answers early on, I think is beneficial for sure. It's harder as a youth, I would say, for all aspects to transition. You have your family, friends, school, but in all intents and purposes, if I was younger and did it, I wouldn't regret it either way. But I definitely think it's just that we weren't out there. We're now in the news and we're now being talked about, and now people are like, well, where'd we come from? We've been around forever. I mean, in the sense of transgenders have been around through the ages, obviously in a passability aspects or completely hidden. So I definitely see where there's a lot of history that we're just not put in. We're there, but we're just not put in the correct ways. And I would love to see that change a little bit over time to be able to diversify and let people realize that there's more than just male and female. Because in the real life, that's it. Like, that's all the people really see. They see male, they see female, and that's it. But there's a lot of gray. So I think it's building all those colors back in. My encouragement would be, if you set your mind to it, don't stop. Whatever you choose to do is your option and your choice. Don't let anyone else waver you or make you change your mind based on a biased opinion. I can count many of times where everyone else told me what to do or what not to do. And in the end, it's your life, your decision. So, quote unquote, my decision, my life. And if I would have chosen their opinions or their ways, might not be where I am. But at the same extent, you have gut feelings for a reason. So go with your gut and then go with your heart. Either way, always stay true to yourself because in the end, it's you. Nobody else is going to be there to pick up your pieces. My favorite part about being me is definitely the fact that I am out. I'm completely visible. I'm able to be used now as what I call a tool through my company, and just be the advocate that I can be in all aspects, for myself as a human being, for LGBT organization, and as a trans man that just wants to live my life. I'm not asking for specialties. I'm not asking for bias. I just want to live my life the same way everybody else does without being hassled or finagled or tempted to be whatever. I just want to live my day through and through. But no matter what, it's definitely something that I'm happy to be me 100%, no doubt. My name is Zane, and this is my video out.